From news and views, issues and opportunities, we'll have in-depth conversations with decision makers to find out what they know and what they think. I'm Rico Hizon, inviting you to join the exchange because your business is our business. Dedicated, reliable, and hardworking. Filipinos are recognized for these traits, especially overseas. But it's something else if income from hard work is not enough to get by.
Pwede 24 hours na. Hirap ng buhay ngayon. Kasi kailangan din po maghanap buhay.
That's why a number of our kababayans choose to take on more jobs that add hours to their day at the expense of health and well-being. But those with less in life have fewer options. Their livelihood is all that they've got to survive day by day.
Bumiyahe kami alas 6 ng umaga hanggang alas 10 ng gabi. Magbaboundary pa kami ng 250, maggas kami ng 200. Ilan na lang matitira? 800, 300 na lang.
The value of hard labor and better pay for the working class in our sweet vision. Lawmakers have filed bills that aim to set boundaries between personal time and work, especially in this pandemic when a number of companies have adopted flexible arrangements, including work from home. Let's now have an exchange with Senator Francis Tolentino, author of the Workers' Rest Bill. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. How will this proposal benefit Filipino workers?
It will benefit Filipino workers because it will provide them a time to rest. It will obviously dilute mental stress. It will make them more productive because we will now have a clear delineation of when to rest and when to work, and it will promote a semblance of a higher degree of quality of life for workers, even though they're working at home.
But, Senator, yes, overworking is a problem, but millions of Filipinos are also underemployed. And we can't blame them if they're looking for extra jobs or working longer hours to increase their income. And this means 8 hours a day or 40 hours a week is not enough. Some of them have to work up to 18 hours a day or more. Let's listen now po kay Nika Santos, a life coach, who has a question for you.
Why do so many Filipinos have to work 18-hour days? What is wrong with our system that there are so many people just to make ends meet, just to put food in the table, they have to work 18 hours a day on a semi-regular basis?
So if this is the case, Senator, the workers' rest law may not really work.
It probably will not address directly the issue of underemployment, but what it aims to restore or promote is the dignity of the worker. We give the worker some semblance of respect by allowing him to rest, to pause, and to attend to some personal and even family issues. So I think this will by promoting, by recognizing the dignity of the worker, it will uplift his own personal self.
So in this particular bill, Senator, which types of workers are covered and not covered?
It will cover all, except for those who are working in the field, for those who are engaged in emergency line of work. It will not cover those who are in the logistics side of the logistics sector, especially when there is an emergency, or even government workers, to be blunt about it.
So Senator, what are the penalties then for the violators?
There would be a penalty of, I think from the bill, it's 1,000 pesos per hour of extra work or intrusion to that private time. And there is even a penalty of imprisonment here.
And it is, of course, recognized, Senator, that there's no clear demarcation now between work and personal time, especially when you're working from home. But how will you be able to determine if an employer is violating the law?
Of course, you will have to have evidentiary proof of this, the cell phones, the gadgets, the emails received, all of this will have to be preserved for documentary purposes. And these are some of the items that would have to be shown. But again, I think the end result here would be a more productive employee, which would result in a more productive company.
But a lot of our Filipinos, more than 3.7 million of them are currently unemployed and many are underemployed. That is the big question now, no? I mean, creating
that's another
jobs
issue.
for our
That's another
kababayans during this pandemic.
Yes, that's another issue that would have to be addressed post-pandemic and during the pandemic. But what this measure is aiming to achieve is really to recognize that right to disconnect, that right to have his own dignity even while working at home, and not always to be at the beck and call 24 hours a day of the employer. So the work-life balance is what is important here.
Let's listen now, Senator, to Jello Lagasca, a graphic designer, and he said that employers should value their workers. Let's listen po sa kanyang tanong.
Bawat trabaho ka, kahit maging isang ano ka man lang, construction worker or kasambahay, sana ay bigyang halaga ng lahat ng employers kung ano yung value ng isang manggagawa, bigyan ng tamang sweldo.
Senator, as a lawmaker, in this term of President Duterte and in the term of the new president, whoever he or she may be after May 9, how can you help make the minimum wage a living wage so that our kababayans do not have to force themselves to work harder than they should just, put food on the table?
This is another issue again, Rico. And siguro after the inauguration of the new president, the new labor policies would have to be spelled out. But again, we have to revisit the law, making the minimum wage on a regional basis, whether it has to be legislated. But again, I like the comment given a while ago. Worth is similar to value. Value is similar to dignity, and that is what this measure is trying to promote: the dignity of the Filipino worker.
And how soon do you think, Senator, will this workers' rest bill become law?
Even if it's not approved, because we barely have 6 more session days. I thank my counterparts in the lower house. They filed a similar mirror image version. I will pursue this during the 19th Congress. Even post-pandemic, this is very critical because it will apply not just during this stage, but I think what COVID-19 taught us was that work can be hybrid. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be done virtually. So this has to be pursued. And I assure you that I will refile this even if it's not approved during the 18th Congress.
Thank you so much for this worker rights exchange, Senator Francis Tolentino. And now here's a rundown of this week's top business stories. S&P Global Ratings expects the Philippine economy to grow by 7.4% this year. Despite the expansion, the country continues to show signs of the long-term impact of the health crisis. Cash remittances reached a fresh high of $31.4 billion in 2021. And a local court in Negros Occidental has issued a stay order on the plan to import sugar. And straight ahead on the exchange, where your business is our business. Harvesting crops is no easy task, and the pay remains low for Filipinos in the agricultural sector. We speak to farmer leader Rodolfo Cortez next. And for those considering a freelancing job, we chat with pioneers Miguel Warren on what these gigs are like in the Philippines. Keep it right here on CNN Philippines. News you can use, news you can trust. Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Farmers and fisherfolk are calling on the government for help amid rising fuel prices. Fisherfolk Group Pamalakaya says diesel accounts for 80% of production costs. And because of more expensive fuel, fishermen are forced to cut fishing hours by half. The government says it has set aside 500 million pesos in the budget for fuel discounts for farmers and fisherfolk. And since beginning of the year, fuel products have cost 8 to 10 pesos more per liter. Among the sectors hit hard by rising fuel prices, farming and fishing. Government data reveals 2.8 million farmers and fishermen lived in poverty in 2018. Let's now have an exchange with Rodolfo Cortez, a farmer leader joining us from Negros Occidental. Maraming salamat po for joining us, Sir Don. Gusto lang namin pong malaman, ilang oras ba nagtatrabaho ang mga magsasaka sa isang araw at ilang araw po kayo nagtatrabaho sa isang linggo?
Karamihan sa mga magsasaka, yung mga magsasaka na pagmamay-ari ng kanilang lupa, depende sa oras na ginagamit nila. Maraming oras na ginagamit, lalo na sa land preparation, sa pagtatanim. Pero kung nalalapit na yung anihan, siyempre kakaunti na lang yung oras na ginagamit doon sa kanilang sakahan. Depende yun sa kanilang oras na dapat na italaga sa kanilang lupain. Sa nagmamay-ari yun. Pero kung worker ka sa farm, pareha sa palayan, tubuhan, mula yan, 7 to 8 hours yung kinukonsumo ng oras sa isang araw. Ibig sabihin nun, sa isang araw, 7 to 8 hours, pero sa isang linggo, 6 na araw yung ginugugol ng mga magtataka o kaya nagtrabaho sa farm. Yun ang
7 to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Magkano po ba ang kita ng ating mga magsasaka sa isang buwan at sapat po ba ito sa inyong pang-araw-araw na gastusin?
kung tatanungin natin yung ating mga worker, lalong-lalo na yung tinatawag natin ng mga mamumugon in Ilonggo, yung worker natin, hindi sasapat yung kita sa ng mga worker natin kasi napakababa ng rate dito sa lalong-lalo na sa Negros, kaya nga dito lumabas yung mga nagtatrabaho yung mga minor de edad kasi dala na yung pamilya para mas malaki-laki yung kikitain ng bawat pamilya.
So, Sir Don, kung hindi sapat ang kinikita ng ating mga magsasaka, naghahanap po ba sila ng ibang trabaho, lalo na kung mahina ang kita?
Tama po. Kasi yung mga worker natin, lalong-lalo na dito kasi yung Negros Occidental is hacienda type.
Oo.
Karamihan nagtatrabaho sa hacienda. Yung iba nasa pakyaw system, pagkatapos nila ng pakyaw system, tatrabaho ulit sila doon sa ibang hacienda para lumaki-laki yung kanilang kikitain. O yung iba naman, yung mga anak nila, yung asawa nila nasa hacienda, yung mga padre de pamilya, yung tatay, nasa construction worker o kaya na doon sa mga city or nasa bayan.
Pero ang ating mga magsasaka dyan sa Negros, kahit na lampas ng 10 oras o 12 oras, magtatrabaho sila para kumita ng extra para sa kanilang mga pamilya?
Tama po. Kasi hinahabol din nila yung oras kasi pagkahapon, pagka umaga, alas 5 pa ng umaga, madaling araw, lumalabas na sila ng bahay, papunta ng hacienda o kaya kung saan man sakahan, uuwi sila mga 5 o'clock na o 4 o'clock ng hapon. Yun ang kanilang oras na ginugugol sa mga farm ng bawat asindero at ng ating mga malalapad na lupa dito.
Well, maraming oras yan, no? At 12 oras kada araw, no? Ang tinatrabaho ng ating mga magsasaka. Isa pang tanong, Sir Don, no? Ano pong sa inyong palagay ang solusyon para matulungan ang ating mga magsasaka na pwede silang kumita ng maganda para sa kanilang mga pamilya?
Tama po, yan yung pinakamalaking tanong, di ba? Kasi number one dito sa Negros, yung mga maliliit nating mga magsasaka, karamihan, mas marami yung worker dito kaysa yung may-ari ng lupa. Number one, kulangan ng lupa. Kulang ng lupa dito. Kasi mas marami yung atindero dito na mas malalapad yung lupa. Tapos yung pangalawa, walang subsidy ng gobyerno natin, yung ating mga magsasaka. Na napakataas ng input na ginagamit ngayon. At saka yung binhing binibili nila, napakataas. Pesticide, insecticide, napakataas yung bilihin. At tapos, hindi angkop yung programa ng lalong-lalo na yung DA natin. Kasi yung Department of Agriculture natin, yung kanilang programa, lalong-lalo na yung RCEP, parang binibibi nila yung farmer na doon na lang aantay na lang kung may ibibigay na binhi, aantay na lang kung may ibibigay na abono, pero kung wala pa, paano yung farmer? Yan yung isang pinakamalaking nakikita natin na mga threat sa ating farmer.
Maraming salamat po for joining us on The Exchange, Sir Rodolfo Cortez, a farmer leader in Negros. And when we come back on The Exchange, where your business is our business, Financial Service Group Payoneer joins us to talk about why some Filipinos are opting to freelance over full-time 8-to-5 jobs. And a popular Filipino fast food chain heads to Scotland. The story right after this on CNN Philippines. News you can use, news you can trust. Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Many of our kababayans are making good use of their skills in this digital age, even finding their niche in freelancing. Whether full or part-time, those wanting to earn more contribute to the expansion of the so-called gig economy. Let's now have an exchange with Financial Service Group Payoneers Miguel Warren for his insights on the freelance industry, joining us from Hong Kong. Thank you so much for joining us, Miguel. How big is the boom of the freelance industry in the Philippines?
Thank you, Rico, for having me. Globally, we see the freelance and gig economy continuing to grow. In a recent study done by Payoneer, 32% of the respondents actually said that they reported higher demand for their services during the pandemic, and a further 45% said that it stayed constant with no change. And we know that in the Philippines, which has traditionally been one of the top 5 online outsourcing countries globally, freelancing continues to boom. And it's evidenced also because of the correlation with our vibrant BPO industry in the country. As more people get more used to working from home, working remotely, and companies and businesses of all sizes kind of start to think about a remote distributed workforce, we definitely see freelancing continuing to grow in the Philippines.
And a lot of millennials now rather be freelancers than have a 9-to-5 job. Why do they choose to be freelancers when there are no benefits included with the pay?
That's a really good question, Rico. We definitely do see, as you say, a lot of younger people choosing to go into whether it's freelancing or entrepreneurship. And I think there are a couple of reasons, right? The first is attractive economics. If you have the right skill set, if you're in the right line, we definitely see some really, really nice per hour rates. Based on a recent study from Payoneer, the Asia average of these per hour rates is something like $22 an hour. And when you think about that in peso terms, that's very, very attractive. But I also think that because of the path to entrepreneurship that freelancing brings, once you start to work with multiple clients across multiple industries, you're a business owner, you're an SMB, and that's really attractive to many young people.
You know, $22 an hour, that's more than 1,000 pesos, no? I mean, we were just talking to a farmer from Negros earlier, and they earn a daily wage of 200 to 300 pesos a day. So that is a huge gulf between per hour rates and a full day wage. But what is the average time of Filipinos spending on freelancing when they're being paid per hour?
Again, I think that this is depending on the type of freelancer that you encounter when Payoneer talks to a number of our customers. We tend to see a lot of people that are starting out their journey in freelancing, whether it's part-time with one client on a global platform like Upwork or Fiverr or onlinejobs.com. It's typically part-time, but as they start to build their skills, they start to build their network, they'll typically take on more clients, they'll start to become full-time, they'll start to win clients directly, and again, right, they might even start to invest in infrastructure for their business, and then they start to really treat it like a business. So we definitely see freelancers going from individuals that are part-time to full-time, and then ultimately to business owners.
So Miguel, what about for those who have a full-time 8-hour-a-day job? Do they also look for freelancing work to augment their income? Because in the Philippines, there's still more than 3.7 million Filipinos who are unemployed and underemployed. So do they look for extra income through freelancing work?
We've definitely seen some areas see a large spike. I think that IT, programming, graphic design are some things that can typically be done part-time, and with the flexibility that freelancing affords, and the on-demand type of arrangement that it provides, I wouldn't be surprised if many people that are full-time are starting out a part-time gig as a freelancer.
And for our kababayans watching us right now on the exchange who are looking for freelance jobs, what are the top freelance jobs out there available, not only in the Philippines for multinational companies, but also for those overseas?
What's really great about freelancing is that there are many, many different types of skills that are in demand globally. We see a lot of demand for virtual assistants, people that help others with their business. We also see customer support and graphic design and web and mobile design as things. But we also see a rising demand for marketing services, finance and accounting services. And these are among some of the top 10 growing categories for skills where the per hour rates can sometimes approach $28 an hour.
So tell us, how can our kababayans find these freelancing jobs? Where can they find them? Classify ads, online, company ads. Where can we find them?
It's a really good question. And I think that one of the first places that freelancers will go are to these global freelance marketplaces. So I've mentioned the names Upwork and Fiverr. These are platforms that bring together employers or businesses that are looking to hire freelancers with freelancers that are actually looking for jobs. So this is typically a really good place to start. But even on social platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn, you will see a lot of international businesses of all sizes looking for Filipino freelancers that can provide virtual assistant services, sales and marketing services. It's really a very broad spectrum. And one of the things that I also find really, really interesting is that a lot of Filipino freelancers actually support e-commerce businesses. It's almost like an intersection of freelance with digital entrepreneurship, because a lot of Filipino freelancers help support brand and third-party sellers on global marketplaces like Amazon and eBay, and they actually help operate their stores. And, Rico, one of the things that I really find encouraging is that some of them, after learning how to do this, actually start to become e-commerce entrepreneurs themselves, setting up their own stores on these marketplaces, or even opening up an independent web store on a platform like Shopify or WooCommerce.
Great advice that you've shared with our viewers on the exchange. Thank you so much for this freelancing exchange. Payoneer's Miguel Warren joining us from Hong Kong. And overseas, Scotland locals will soon get to taste chicken joy on their home turf. Filipino fast food giant Jollibee will open a branch in Edinburgh on February the 24th and another in Glasgow the day after. Well, the menu will have Filipino favorites like Yum Burger and the chicken sandwich, which is almost as popular as Chicken Joy in the UK. And this is the exchange. We make sense of the facts and the figures and the ups and downs of the business cycle, because your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Thanks for watching CNN Philippines. News you can use. News you can trust.